think we're all afraid of the sea. I think there's so much mystery down there.
75% of the planet is water, so maybe there's something down there.
Superman, he's invincible. Batman has got this grudge in him, and Aquaman, he can breathe underwater.
That was the worst pep talk ever.
Oi, Brasil! Eu sou a Carol Moreira e tá começando mais um Inside Warner. Dessa vez, a gente vai falar sobre Aquaman.
My parents were from different worlds. And I was a product of a love that never should have been.
He could unite our worlds one day.
A son of the land and a son of the seas.
Check it out. Arthur is talking to the fish.
They made me what I am.
I took my inspiration from the comic book. Just the fact that A, he's never been done before, and B, you know, the fact that he's never been done before means that I kind of want it to be, you know, as true as I can to his origin in the comic books, and using that as a platform for me to then kind of do my own, bring my own style to it, but sort of put the aesthetic, the comic book aesthetic through my own sensibility to adapt to the screen.
And you had an extra challenge because they already made Justice League before. And you had to do an origin story after that. So what did you bring from that? Did you want to go far from that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely I have to kind of respect, you know, where they started with it. But the cool thing is I can then sort of take Jason's character and kind of, you know, move him in the direction that I wanted him to move into, which is great because, you know, he starts off his character being somewhat of a loner, right? Like he doesn't quite fit in, and by the end of my movie, he realizes he's bigger placed in the scheme of things.
Permission to come aboard. My fear was on Justice League that people were just gonna be like, he's kind of grumpy, he's jaded, why is he that way? That's not my Aquaman. I thought a lot of fans would be mad, but it's just a weekend of his life. So that's what's great about this story. It's the origin. You get to see what he was like, why he was that way, what he's lost, and you know, what he needs to become. I have no leader. I came because I had no choice. I came to save my home and the people that I love.
That's been fun to sort of go back, and because there's such a long, rich history of Aquaman and of Worm, of his brother as well. So, and a lot of different origin stories. And I really, really, really love what DC did, specifically Jeff Johns with the New 52 several years ago of rebooting their stories and their origins.
I think Aquaman was surprising to me because in the past it was so different. But now he's definitely got a different type of intensity towards him.
Really going against the grain of what our typical idea of what Aquaman is.
We're getting close now.
Oh yeah? Close to what? Dying of thirst?
And he brings not only this extremely powerful, charismatic, physical presence, but it's, for me, it's the little moments, it's the humor, it's the smile. That's I think what's going to make people fall in love with this Aquaman.
Hey, wait!
What?
Shouldn't we have written it down first?
I memorized it. Didn't you?
Oh, yeah, totally.
What did you say?
Something trident.
So Arthur is a lot like you, I think, the way he looks, the way he drinks beer. Did you have any input in that?
Yeah, I think it was, Zach liked a lot of that, and James encouraged it too, so. It was the first movie that I've ever put myself kind of in the role.
It's real. Nothing.
Of course it's not working. It's been sitting here collecting dust since before the Sahara was a desert.
Before the Sahara was a desert. Let's just say you do your best thinking when you're not thinking at all. All right, now hold still.
Hey, what are you doing?
We need water. Near the closest source.
Show off. I could have just peed on it.
Yeah, Jason's a big kid. You know, I think I'll always describe him like that. He's like the most energetic on set. He has a big, big smile. He wants to share his talent. He's so creative. He's very passionate about the movie.
That was awesome.
Who the hell are you? I play a character called Black Manta, and he is one of Aquaman's oldest arch nemesis. You know, he was a pirate or something like a mercenary who gets in a situation where Aquaman kills his father. And so from then on, he's dead set on avenging his father's death.
I play Orm. I play Aquaman's half-brother, who, when we first meet him, is the king of Atlantis. And so what you see throughout the course of the movie is their very troubled relationship and who is the rightful heir to the throne.
My brother has come from the surface to challenge me for the throne.
I call it an ass whooping.
And I play a guy who is deeply proud of Atlantis and feels like the surface world has been polluting his waters and his world for centuries, which is true.
Your half-brother, King Orm, is about to declare war upon the surface world.
So we've tried to create a character that's not just some villain, but that you see where he's coming from.
The beast has awakened. The time has come for Atlantis to rise again.
Both of the women in our movie are very powerful. With Nicole, she, as you'll come to see, she's like the queen of Atlantis. Mira, she's the daughter of the Zabellian kingdom who live next door to Atlantis. She's supposed to marry the king, and then as soon as she, gets involved with Jason, everything changes. But she's also a strong character, and she definitely drives the movie forward.
I was pleasantly surprised when I learned that Mira was such an empowered, badass, driven, motivated, proactive character with agency. And she's not just a warrior, she's not just a queen or set to be queen, she's not just a fighter. She knows what she wants, and she's a driving force throughout, not just for the story, but for him.
We're here.
What are you doing?
Wait. She never parachute.
Redheads, you gotta love them.
You think you're unworthy to lead because you're of two different worlds. But that is exactly why you are worthy.
That sort of heightened sense of sort of science fiction with fantasy, but also sort of underwater. It's kind of, it's kind of like nerdy way to kind of go about it, but it was really fun designing all of that.
You are part of something deeper. You are the bridge between land and sea. Take your rightful place as king.
E agora vamos lá para as aventuras da Valentina no set de filmagem.
Oi pessoal, eu sou a Valentina, da produção da Warner Channel. E a gente veio parar aqui do outro lado do mundo, na Austrália, para conhecer algo incrível. Olha isso, a gente está no set do filme Aquaman. Preparados? Então vem comigo, a gente vai conhecer juntos. Hi Bill, how are you?
I'm good.
I'm so excited to be here. This is all your creation.
Well, I didn't build everything here, but I had some responsibility for this, yes.
And could you tell me a little bit about your day-by-day process?
Well, we start out by breaking down the script and then and trying to come up with what is feasible to do for the movie and what they require to do the stunts and the action. We then start the process of drawing it. Everything here is hand-drawn. Every little nuance of the set has been hand-drawn and built. It's all custom-made.
Nessa vila, tudo é falso. Então tudo que você tá vendo é de mentira. E é absurdo, porque tudo isso foi construído especialmente pro filme. Tá vendo esse pão? Ninguém vai comer isso. É de mentira. And you said you actually work sometimes with some of the comic drawers?
Yep, we do. We hired what we call the Brazilian guys to come up with some keyframes for us. It's a comic book movie, so if you don't have comic book people involved, you're not making a comic book movie.
The Aquaman looks is something that everybody's looking forward to see. How was your creative process?
We had, you know, beautiful historical comic books, obviously, that went through a lot of different looks, different period kind of versions of the costumes. So we decided to just focus on what would look good on Jason as a real person.
But what could be greater than a king?
A hero.
E agora adivinha o que eu vou fazer? Eu vou vestir uma das armaduras que o cast usa nas filmagens. Vocês estão preparados para isso? Porque assim, o meu look do dia já tava do Aquaman, mas agora vai ficar ainda mais. Vamos lá, gente. Se isso não te lembra a sua aula de natação, eu não sei o que vai te lembrar. Porque olha isso aqui, eu já não tô com cara de peixinho?
Welcome home.
In this movie, we're pretending we're underwater, so we're shooting dry stage, but we'll look like it's underwater. So there are different requirements to shoot that and make it look real. One of them is to create a texture that can reflect light, you know, and look like the movement of scales and different fish skins under the water.
Essa aqui é uma das armaduras do exército do Merc. E essa coisinha aqui básica pesa aproximadamente 35 quilos. Ou seja, assim, coisa básica, assim, para quando você vai trabalhar, ficar o dia inteiro trabalhando com isso, atuando tranquilamente, né? Então imagina, uau, temos luzes. E assim, aqui é muito quente, muito, muito quente. Eu espero que você aí em casa esteja sentindo. Olha isso aqui. E imagina se mexer e lutar com isso daqui por horas e horas. Agora eu tô pronta pra ir batalhar contra o exército de Atlântida. Vocês estão preparados? Olha essa minha arma aqui, ó. Uhul! Well, and actually, we just been to the set, and I had the opportunity to like dress a suit from Merc's army.
Is that right?
And it was so heavy. What
Yeah.
can you tell me about your suit?
That the same thing, and
Yeah.
probably much, much heavier.
Oh my God, mine had like 35 kilos.
Yeah, the suits are heavy. You know, I'm in the gym 5 days a week. I put on about 14 pounds just to prep, just to be able to move around and still be agile in those suits. So they definitely make you pay for it, but they look good in the end. You know, I put on those things and I feel unstoppable.
It was all very physically very challenging. You know, it was about endurance. I trained for about 5 months for 5+ hours a day. It was physically very taxing, and the costume had, you know, a lot of physical demands. The wire work did, the stunt work did, the fight sequences did, but in seeing it was well worth it.
The war is coming to the surface, and I'm bringing the wrath of the 7 seas with me.
Além da equipe que faz o cenário e os figurinos, a gente também tem o pessoal da computação gráfica. Tá vendo esses pontinhos aqui ao meu redor? Pois é, a magia vai acontecer quando eles começarem a mexer nos computadores e criarem todo mundo por trás do Aquaman.
You are not going to win this.
Billions will die unless you help us.
You had to develop the whole underwater stuff that is amazing. So what was the biggest challenge doing that?
I mean, obviously the biggest challenge was shooting the actors and you know, and making it look like they're underwater when in fact they're just, you know, we shot them dry in a blue screen stage.
When I found out I was on Aquaman, I was expecting to get really wet. But this is what I'm saying about cutting edge. I've hardly gotten wet.
It was a challenge for me, and it was the first time that I worked on something this CGI heavy.
We're kind of breaking through and treading new ground here, and nothing's kind of been shot like this before, and I think we were kind of learning as we went.
It was very different. You know, this part of the reason that this movie probably was never done is because it could never be done before. You know, it's not, you can't just sort of hold your breath and try to shoot a scene underwater. That's just it's not physically possible.
But, you know, there was many sort of steps to that process. You know, putting the actors in these rigs that give the impression that they're sort of floating and swimming underwater.
Usually that stuff is just for stunts. So actors typically stay out of those rigs, all the harnesses, because those are when they bring the stunt guys in to get thrown around.
And then using visual effects to kind of finish off everything, including the sort of flowing, luscious hair, the costumes, how the cape would move underwater.
It's definitely a different dimension in terms of keeping things in mind. Like, you have to act like you're underwater while you're not underwater. You have to picture all the things going around of how you would behave underwater, you know? So you get used to acting like a jellyfish, just floating around all the time.
I hadn't trained like this for a role ever, actually. It was my first time, so I was very, very excited, you know.
It really kind of brought us back to theater, where you want to use your whole body, and we're so used to, when you shoot movies, you're like, I'm just about from here to here, you know. And so when you've got to use your whole body, it's a much different experience.
It's kind of like the future of filmmaking, which is scary in a way, but exciting also.
The only way to stop this war is for you to take your rightful place as king.
Para comandar esse filme, a Warner Bros. Chamou James WAN. Ele também é conhecido por dirigir Invocação do Mal 2 e Velozes e Furiosos 7. Ou seja, dá para esperar muita ação e aventura desse filme.
So why Aquaman? Well, you never did anything like that.
Why not? I don't know. I just felt it was, you know, I felt like a pretty smooth transition, I guess, from
smooth?
Well, I think it's a pretty straightforward transition. It wasn't too out of the box for me.
He's a horror director, generally, but it doesn't matter. It's just great storytelling, you know. I think there's a certain suspense to be a horror director, and this has moments of that, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it's just building great characters, and James Wan's done a great job with that.
Hey, buddy, you that fish boy from the TV? It's Fish Man.
I'm perplexed by what James can do, because, you know, I think a director, you know, your job is to tell the story. You're a storyteller, but he has to piece together this entire story from just split seconds of scenes, and he has to fill in his own mind about what's this supposed to look like, because all we see is a blue screen, right? And then you have to take these snippets together. I just don't know how he does it. It's amazing.
He had the whole picture shot, an animated version, so he can show you, okay, here's the scene, you're going to be riding on this sea dragon. Of course, when you're as an actor, you show up on set, you're sitting on some piece of wood, painted blue, and there's just blue screen all around, and there's nothing there to look at, so it's quite helpful to have that reference.
This is a funnier, colorful movie. It's quite different from the other DCU stuff. So how do you feel it fits?
It's definitely under the umbrella of the universe. I mean, obviously, he's a character that's already sort of been established in Justice League. But the really cool thing is his world is just so unique. It's so different.
It's underwater. I mean, we've never been underwater before, you know what I mean? So it doesn't look anything like Gotham.
I don't think, you know, all the superhero movies should look the same. I think that would get kind of bland and boring after a while.
Espero que vocês tenham gostado desse Inside Warner sobre Aquaman. Depois eu quero saber tudo o que vocês acharam do filme, hein?